The 26th of April, 1986, 1:23 a.m. The world remembers Chernobyl as an explosion, but the explosion was not the disaster. The real disaster was what almost happened next. A 1,200-ton reactor lid was hurled into the air. A radioactive cloud drifted across Belarus, reaching as far as Sweden. But that night, the crisis did not end. It was only beginning. Reactor number 4 was destroyed. Nuclear fuel, heated beyond 1,200 degrees Celsius, melted and flowed downward. They called it corium, a substance that had never existed on Earth before. Uranium, zirconium, graphite, concrete, melted together into a single mass, hour by hour. It kept moving downward, melting through concrete, pulled only by gravity. Directly beneath reactor number 4 was an emergency cooling water reservoir. Thousands of tons of water. If the corium reached that water, scientists calculated it. The moment molten fuel touched water, a steam explosion would occur. An explosion measured in multiple megatons of TNT, hundreds of times more powerful than Hiroshima. It would destroy the remaining reactors and spread radioactive fallout across Europe. Tens of millions of people would need to evacuate. The Soviet government called this scenario the second explosion. There were less than 48 hours to stop it. The solution was simple: drain the water. The problem was the valve, located underground, directly beneath the reactor. Radiation levels were extreme, lethal many times over. Robots failed. Radiation destroyed their systems. The valve was manual. Someone had to turn it by hand. The passageway had no lights, no reliable blueprints. The explosion had twisted the structure itself. Entering that space was understood as a one-way decision. The meeting room fell silent. 3 men raised their hands. Alexei Ananenko, cooling system engineer, knew the valve's location. Valeri Bezpalov, mechanical engineer, understood the valve itself. Boris Baranov, shift supervisor, said, "If I don't go, who will?" They weren't trying to be heroes. They simply knew what their job was. Ananenko called home. "I'm working late. See you tomorrow." Bezpalov said nothing. He slipped a photo of his wife into his pocket. Baranov finished his coffee and placed the cup in the sink. "Let's go." They put on lead protective suits. Heavy, crude, not enough to stop radiation, only enough to buy minutes. One flashlight, one respirator, and each other's voices. The stairs were flooded. The water was black. Visibility ended 1 meter ahead. Something brushed past their legs. Debris, cables, impossible to tell. Direction disappeared. Ananenko traced the wall. Left corridor, third corner. They didn't speak. Words wasted oxygen, amplified fear. Only breathing echoed underwater. Inhale, exhale. Bezpalov's flashlight flickered. The battery was dying. "Just a little more," Baranov said. The valve, rust-covered, frozen by pressure. Ananenko grabbed first. Bezpalov took the opposite side. Baranov braced below. 3, 2, 1. They pushed. Then the water began to move, a small whirlpool. Then the sound deep inside the pipes. The water was draining. No headlines changed. No announcements were made. History records explosions, but rarely what didn't happen. Yet millions of tomorrows continued quietly. Kyiv woke to another morning. Children went to school. Cafes opened. They never knew their lives had been protected by silence. Later, the world called them heroes of a suicide mission. But the truth was different. Boris Baranov died in 2005 from a heart attack. He was 65. Alexei Ananenko lived into the 2010 seconds. In an interview, he said, "We didn't go there to die. We went there to do our job." Valeri Bezpalov also lived for decades afterward. They were exposed to radiation, but not to lethal levels. The water blocked part of it. The lead suits bought them time. They did not choose death. They chose responsibility. A hero isn't defined by applause or recognition. A hero is someone who does not claim their name even after it's over. They returned and demanded no medals, no rewards. Ananenko simply came to work the next day. Bezpalov quietly checked the duty roster, preparing for the shift. Baranov drank his coffee. They simply waited for the next shift to arrive. Chernobyl remains a monument to human arrogance. But within it were people who protected the world through silent choices. We only need to remember this. The greatest catastrophe was stopped by the quietest decision, and that decision was made where there were no cameras and no witnesses. Some disasters end without a sound.
Please subscribe and like. It helps a lot.